Hi my loves, welcome to a new video. For a long time I was what you would call an atheist. I could not believe in God because as a child I was confronted with a concept that a holy man was sitting on a throne, ruling over all. And I could not grasp or kinda accept that concept. So I didn't. Instead, I just believed in a higher power. I always said, I believe in a higher being. But I actually never knew what I meant with it. And so most of my life I believed I was alone. And I had a lot of very painful experiences that made me an outsider somehow, a warrior, a fighter, but an outcast, a rebel. There was a day in my story when the belief I had to be an atheist changed. And that was the day when God gave me the gift of manifesting Himself in a stag. The second time I saw Him, He manifested Himself in a father who was holding his son's hand. And that father asked me if he could gift me something. And I said to him, yeah, of course, but I don't have anything back in return. And he was a bit surprised that I said that and smiled at me very gently. And he said to me that it's okay. And then he said, I just need to reach out my hand, and I did. And he laid a crystal heart onto my hand. It was a beautiful crystal, clear crystal that had many different cracks and was in the form of a heart. And I looked at it and was holding it into the light. And because it had so many scars and fractures, the light fractured into beautiful rainbow colors when I was holding it up into the light. I was looking at him and he said, child, can I say something to you? And I said, yes, please, of course. And he said, you are beautiful the way you are. You don't have to be or play someone else. Just be yourself. I looked at him and did not know yet what he meant with this, but His words were so true, and something within me remembered. I looked at him and said, "Thank you very much." He smiled and he walked away. I was sitting there on a park bench with a very broken life in the psychiatric clinic, and I did not know what to do with my life when I realized that the prayer I did a couple minutes ago was already answered with this. And so the question that led me back to the truth was, if I only need to be myself, then who am I? Who am I really? And that was the beginning of my awakening journey that led me back to the truth. And it is said that the truth will ultimately set you free. Later, I realized that the heart he was gifting me was my own heart I thought I had lost in all those battles and all those traumas and all this pain I had to endure, but I didn't. It was just a heart that was broken so many times that it seemed like falling apart, but in those cracks was the place the light was able to enter. A man who really helped me, and I consider him as my savior, once said, "Love is the truth." Later that week, I had a vision from the past, because something within me was reactivated and was guiding me from that day forward. And that something was my soul who remembered. I met another woman who asked me, "Do you believe in God?" And I looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, I was through so much pain and suffering. I cannot imagine that if there was a God, He would let this happen." And I looked at her and said, "No, I don't." And she looked a little bit sad, but then I said something else. I said, "But you know what? I still believe in love." And then she was very fastly turning her head towards me and was smiling with such a radiance. She gave me a book and she said I needed to promise her to read it, and I did. And it was the first book I've written in years. It was very magical. My grandmother once asked me as I was a child. She said, "You need to believe in something. You cannot believe not in God." And I said to her, "I do believe in something." I said to her, "I believe in myself. I believe in the good in all human beings. I still believe in that." And I said to her, "And I believe in love." Today, I understand that what I told her and what she asked me was one and the same. And I did believe in God. I just used different words to describe it. The self within us all is God. God is love. And God is the good in us all. You know, there are so many concepts describing this one truth. And that is what they are. They are just words who try to describe a force, a being, a power, a lover that cannot be put into words. Yet that is what we try. And that is what we beautifully do when we put our hearts into our creations. Yet there's so many unnecessary pain if one concept of religion is opposed to another, when in truth the core truth they're talking about is one and the same. Yet because we had put so many boxes there, we stopped seeing what is real, what is true. Of course, the mystery was so mysterious and yet so exciting and just beautiful that I have no words to describe it. But of course we would have many names and stories around it, and there would be so many paths that would lead to the same core. But maybe we looked at it from but from a false angle. Let's call it that way. You know, there's a beautiful symbol that describes it so beautifully. It's the alchemical symbol of the sun, which is a small dot in the center, and then there's a big circle around it. And it's funny because we humans are standing on this circle, on this big circle around the center point, and are looking from a different point of view onto the same core, the same heart within us all. And yet we miss the most fundamental truth, that this circle is whole and it is one. And even though so many different perspectives point to the same truth, we missed somehow that the core is one. I never read a quote that said this truth more beautifully than Krishna said when he wrote, "I alone am real, Arjuna. looking out from deep within the eyes of every creature.